This is chapter number 1, tracing changes through 1,000 years. 1,000 years, what all changes are done or happen, we'll talk about that. This is the initial chapter, so the information is limited, but this is a basement for the chapters which are coming after this. The year I am talking about is from 700 to 1750, or you can say 750 to 1750. That means 1,000 years span we are talking about. What all happened from 750 to 1750, we call it as medieval yug, medieval era, medieval period. So ultimately we'll talk about, see, the dates or the era is from 700 to 1750 roundabout. So this is the span we are going to talk about, what happened in history, specifically the Indian subcontinent we are going to talk about. So in totality, as an overview, this chapter is there, just to give you a brief idea. So all starts here with two maps, one map, two map. There are two different maps made by two different people in the span of 600 years. The first map, second map have a lot of difference. What is map first of all? Map, manchitra, those who make map. The art of making map is cartography. So the people who make map are called cartographer. Those who make map are cartographer. So the first map which we are talking about, this is the small part of this big map, and this was being made by an Arabian, and his name is Muhammad al-Idrisi. He is Arab geographer, Muhammad al-Idrisi. So he made this map, initial map, and he made in 1154 common era, 1154 after the death of Jesus Christ. Okay, 1154. Now the second map, this map is made by around 1720, around 600 years after what Al-Idrisi has made, and it was being made by a French cartographer, and his name, French cartographer, because he belongs to France, so his name is Guillaume de Lisle. I don't know this pronunciation is correct or not, but Guillaume de Lisle. Now let me tell you the first map. This map, the names are written in Arabic, and most of the things are there but in different places. The Middle India and South India, the places are changed. The Middle India is now South India, South India is Middle India. Also the Sri Lanka, which is here, he has shown, Al-Idrisi has shown it in the northern part. But he was the, you can say, the path breaker. He made the map. And after this, many people made the maps. These scenarios, art of map making changed. Then Delisle, he made the map, and the map he made, it was fantastic. It was quite similar to what map we know right now. This coastal area, if you see the coastal area, these are being, very clearly identified and being made. So this coastal area, because of this coastal area, you can say crispness or clarity, the Europeans who used to come here, or the traders or the merchants who used to come here, they were following this map. The map being made by Guillaume de Lisle. This map used and employed and appreciated by the merchants and the voyagers. As I said, the science of cartography, the art of map making, the way map was perceived and be made were different, because it changed, advancement was there. So there was a change. That is how you see that Leslie was better. Now coming to terminology, terms and terminology, the words in different languages. If you talk about medieval Persian, that is Farsi, Madhya Yug Farsi, medieval Persian, it is all different. The words and terminologies are different from modern Persian, aaj ki Farsi. So the historians, what do? Because they need to know what happened earlier, what is now. So the grammar, what was the grammar at that time? What was the vocabulary? That means how many words were there in that particular language, and what were the meanings of word, pronunciation of the word, because word changed from time to time. I'll take a word, Hindustan. We'll take an example. Hindustan, sare jahan se acha Hindustan hamara. How do we know this Hindustan? We say India, we say Hindustan, all are same almost, okay? But these are being asked, okay? These are the questions we have when we talk about the questions, extra questions. So in 13th century, there was a chronicler, Vrittant Lekhak, Minhaj Siraj. There was a chronicler, and see, he was not a historian. He was a chronicler. He used to write chronicles. So the chronicler, he was a chronicler, and he used to write Vrittan, Minhaj Siraj, like the travel chronicle, blog, what we have right now. So he wrote it in Persian, Farsi. So whenever he used this word Hindustan, Minhaj Siraj, the meaning was he is talking about Punjab, Haryana, and the region between Ganga and Yamuna. So these areas, the people who live here, and also he was telling about the Delhi Sultan, that area in political sense, which is the part of Delhi Sultans, that area he termed as Hindustan, okay? Now this same word, Hindustan, same word, Babur used it. Babur is, we'll talk about him in quite detail. He was a very strong and very big ruler. You can remember it by Babar Azam, a very nice cricket player of Pakistan. So Babur, now he used this same word Hindustan in order to describe, in order to explain the geography, the flora and fauna, that is what kind of plants are there, what kind of animals are there, and also the culture, Sanskriti, how people live, what they eat. So this area he wanted to explain about or describe about an area which is our Indian subcontinent in 16th century. In 16th century, Babur told us or wrote about this, about subcontinent. Please remember, subcontinent, if you take complete Asia, this is the main continent. But India, along with the neighboring countries like China, not very much China, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, all these areas are quite, because of various natural divisions, it is clearly different from the Asia part, right? Because we have Himalaya, so we are quite different, or we have a proper boundary. So that is why we are a continent in a continent. So that is why this area was called as a subcontinent, Upamahadweep. Upamahadweep we used to call it, okay? So Babur was talking about all the content which relates to geography, fauna and culture of the people who are living in this subcontinent. Now, two I have given example. Now one more. Same word Hindustan, same word Hindustan, same word Hind was used by a very eminent, prominent and a big poet, Amir Khusro. Amir Khusro, he used the same word Hind, same word Hind. Okay. But what we see today, if you talk about Hindustan and India, the geographical and cultural entity India, it is there. So India has a proper geography, proper culture, proper politics, proper area. But Hindustan has not that meaning of politics or national meaning. We are not talking about, we don't say, we go to another country, we don't say we are from Hindustan, we say from India, because they also know India. Politically, we are known as Indians, not Hindustanians. So Hindustan is more of a geographical and cultural entity, but this political and national meanings did not go with Hindustan, it goes with India. One more word, let us take one more word, foreigner. Foreigner. Now this foreigner means what? What today, if you see anyone who is having a white skin tone, or he has brown or bhura hair, white hair, you will say he is a foreigner. He is a foreigner. In India, if a person from Tamil Nadu, he goes to Gangtok or say Northeast. The Northeast people are quite similar to Thai people or Chinese, they look like them. The Tamil Nadu person looks like more of Sri Lankan, but they both are Indians. So nobody, neither the one state is foreigner to other. Okay, these two from different part of India, they don't say you are foreigner, and the others ones will say you are foreigner. They are not foreigners, they are indigenous. But at that time, I am talking about that era. At that era, what will happen in the past? What does foreigner means? See, if we have one village, the other person comes to this village. So the other person for this village is a foreigner, is a Pardesi, is a Ajnabi. And same from one first village goes to the other village, he will be what? He will be a Videshi, Ajnabi, Pardesi for the other village. Okay? Because they don't share a common culture, they don't share a commonality. That is why they were foreigners. If a person living in the forest, he goes to both of these village, he will always be a foreigner. He was called as a foreigner. Okay, let me tell you again. In Farsi, Persian, Ajnabi, Hindi, we call them as Pardesi, English, we call them as foreigner at that time, Purana time, the date we are talking about, 700 to 750. Okay, but if you are of same place, if you know each other, you are not foreigner, you are indigenous. Now historians and what sources we have. Now you tell me, if something happens, some incident happens or some crime happens, an investigation department will do what? They will collect the evidences, they will talk to those people, they will try to get the leads. Okay, if you say something happens in your house, you say your sister has done, sister says you have done, your father will do something, means he's going to take the evidences. So same thing here, the historians and the archaeologists, they behave like a jasus. Okay, so investigative agency. So historians earlier, before the 700, they had these coins, inscriptions, they would do investigation using various archaeological content, inscriptions, architecture like Qutub Minar, Taj Mahal, and textual record means something which is being written, like the manuscript, like what someone has written Harshvardhan biography, and someone has written the pilgrim voyage. So because of this textual record, we understand that how this region was developing, what was the life of normal people. So in this whole chapters 700 to 750, Here at this time, the paper records, the evidences which historians have now are paper records. That is the textual records. It grew, like anything. You can say in an exponential manner, the paper content was available. Because paper was available and paper became cheap. So everyone was using paper. Okay? Because if something you write on the paper, you will not be able to forget. Paper got easy. China, if you remember, China, Kai Lun, he invented the paper. From here, there he went to Korea, then Japan, then Baghdad. From Baghdad, it came here, India. So, people started using this paper. They were writing the holy texts. They were writing the chronicles of big rulers or leaders. They were also writing the letters and teaching of different saints or the respected people at that time. And then petitions, teachings, judicial records. At that time this was there. People were fighting and there was a judge and all those things were happening. So petition, judicial records, and also the accounts, because the money coming and going also was being written down. So the accounts and taxes were also being written down. So everything was on record, textual record. So whatever you will write by your hand is called as manuscript, Pandulipi. Pandulipi, whatever you write or whatever has been written by hand is called as manuscript. So these manuscripts are collected normally by the wealthy people, Amir log, wealthy people, by the rulers, by monasteries, temples. So whatever people have written in the earlier times and what we get here is the Pandulipi. Let me show you the Pandulipi. This is the Pandulipi. This is the manuscript I am talking about. So whatever you write, if you write today something, after 100 years it will be a Pandulipi. It will be a manuscript. Okay, and they are kept safely in archives, Abhilekhagar. They are kept in archives, a place where the documents and manuscripts are stored properly. Various states, various big cities have archives, Abhilekhagar, where all the manuscripts and other things are kept in that place. Also not kept, but conserved also. Conserved. Your college might be having, your school might be having a library. Similarly, because library is local level, you have books, but in the big museums or archives, there are the thing which are kept of national heritage, the state heritage. Okay, archives, Abhilekhagar. Now at that time there were no printing press, so people have to write. We have a photocopier. We just put our content in the photocopy paper and same thing will come outside. But at that time, those people who are writing are called scribes. They are called as lipik. They are called as nakal navis. All these three are for the same person. They were making the exact copy of whatever is there with them or given to them. Scribes, lipik, nakal navis, they all are same. So if you get a homework from your friend, he is very intelligent, but he is not having a good handwriting. Like you can see my handwriting, it's just terrible. So what I write, I am not able to understand. Same way, if your friend have written something and you are copying his homework, if you don't understand, you will write something, you have to write something, so you will just use your imagination. So when this your friend will copy your content, so there will be certain changes. So there will be change propagation. So that means all these historians have to read all these manuscripts so that they understand what was the actual content. I'll give an example of Ziauddin Barni. He wrote his first chronicle in 1356. Then the other one after 2 years, 1358. They both are same. It's just a revised version. Okay. But only the version 2 was known by the historians. The version 1 was not. Version was 1, it remained, under some library collections, lost in library collections. I'll tell you two different handwritings. Even the Arabic people or the Urdu will not understand this. But the handwriting is saying what? This is a Nakal Navisi, scribes. The first one, left hand side, you see as Nastalik. Right hand side is Shikast. Left is Nastalik, right is Shikast. If you see the left hand side, this Nastalik, this is cursive and easy. Cursive and easy. What does it mean? Cursive means ghasita mar, means hand continue writing, and it's easy to understand, easy to learn, right? And what about the other one? What is the other one? Which is shikast. Shikast. The shikast is quite denser and it is more difficult to read. So this is how the different manuscripts or writing technique were different. Some were easy, some were difficult to learn. Yes. Now we discussed about two handwritings, the Nastaliq, which you see on the left hand side, the Shikast on the right hand side. Nastaliq is quite easy. The right hand side Shikast is denser and difficult to learn and understand. So these kind of manuscript or the lipics, scribes, nakal, navis, they were copying things. So there is a variety of difference in the writing. Now new social and political groups, we are talking about 700 to 1750, this range common era. So here various technologies, discoveries came into action, came into being. For example, Persian wheel. This is a Persian wheel. Means the water comes out through Persian wheel and this water is then sent for irrigation. So it's a kind of a very conventional but very effective way of irrigation. Along with this, we have spinning wheel in weaving. You might relate it with Mahatma Gandhi. That is how to make thread from the raw material. So this is the spinning wheel in weaving. Then in combat fighting, the use of firearm, those which have barood, that can create fire. Then along with this, food and beverage, like this corn, bhutta, we have aloo, potatoes, mirchi, chilies, then tea and coffee, chai. So all these were being used. People were drinking it, using it. So when people go from one place to another, they just not only people go, their ideas go, their thought goes. So economical, political, social, cultural, there are certain changes which happen when people move from one place to another. Because there was mobility. And mobility, as I said, that the air and people, they're always moving. Palayan. So they were not going one and two. They are going in groups. So whenever people go, they take their ideas, their thoughts, etc. Now in this time, there was one caste, Rajputs. These people became very prominent, important, respected. Rajput means, Raj means rule, Shasak. And Put means son, Putra, son. Rajput, that is ruler's son. So between 8th and 14th centuries, this term was given or applied or used for the warriors. If you see Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, these belong to Kshatriya, or they were saying that they claim that we are Kshatriyas, we have this caste status. Warrior means what? Means to fight for your region, to fight for your land. This is the work of Kshatriyas. So not only the rulers, but the Samants, that is chieftains, Samant, chieftains, even the commanders, soldiers, everyone who was fighting for their homeland or country or the region, they all were Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas. And these Kshatriyas were praised by various poets because they used to, uh, kill themselves or kill others. Means they just fight. And they were so powerful at that time. So poets, they actually wrote about them. And at this time, if you remember, we have Marathas, Sikhs, Jat. In our Indian army, we have Maratha regiment, Sikh regiment, Jat regiment. Because they were so powerful, they were fighters. Along with this, Ahoms, and Kayasthas. These Kayasthas were basically scribes, means who are doing the writing work, and also the Munshis, secretaries. Kayastha, like we have Shivastavs right now, Porwals, like this. So we have Kayasthas, and they were doing the work of either writing work or Munshi, secretaries, or looking after the amount, billing, taxes. So these all people also became politically important. Now at this time, what happened? This is a forest. So the various part of the forest were cleared. They were cleared in order to open the land for agriculture, to extend the agriculture. Now here, the people who lives, the people used to live here, it was their habitat. That is, this is the environment or the region where they live. They have certain social and economic lifestyle. So the resident of certain area which is peculiar to them, peculiar to their community, is the habitat. So these people who are actually having the habitat as forest, they were forced to leave this land because actually the forest land was cleared. So these people, what do they do? They would come to some other place like the villages, and they started doing small work like farming, like becoming agriculturist, or because they were landless now. So they were working in farmers' land, big farmers' land. So they were laborers, agricultural laborers, but landless agricultural laborers. So these are, BF is for those farmers which are below that level or don't have any land. So these farmers which are having land and those which are not having land, there was a great difference of money. One became richer and richer, one became poorer and poorer. Okay. So there was a society, and these peasants, these farmers, landless farmers, they came in contact with various other communities like going to market, chieftains, priests, monasteries, temples. So they also came in contact with the other people who are living in the village or the city, right? So this is how these people who changed their habitat became landless farmers, and now they are poor and they have a lot of contacts. Okay. Now this difference actually increased. So let me tell you one area. There are different areas. So in one area, there were a jati. Jati means people who are following the same culture, religion, or trade. So there were rules and regulation how to live in this community. Like you will not do this thing, you will not kill, not do any burglary, or marry in the same community, marry your sisters like this. So these jatis, the rules and regulation were enforced by the elderly people, big people, those who are respected in the community. So these are the big people. This jati rules and regulation are being enforced, which are being made for all the people there. These jati this sabha is called as jati panchayat. This sabha, this committee, this meeting is called as jati panchayat of the elderly people who would enforce the rules and regulation which has to be done by everyone in the community. Jati panchayat. Okay? Jati panchayat. Like we have today Khap panchayat or Panch in the panchayat. So these all happened earlier also. Sometimes if you do wrong work, you will be, kept out of the community. Now in this time, we will be talking about all these in quite detail. Cholas, Tughlaqs, Mughals, All these we will be talking about in great detail, because they had a very big empire. I'll give an example. There is a Sanskrit Prashasti, and in this Prashasti, it is or in praise of, it is being clearly written that the Delhi Sultan Ghiyasuddin Balban, please remember this name, this is being asked number of times. Delhi Sultan in this Prashasti clearly written that Ghiyasuddin Balban, he had a vast empire. It starts from Bengal, which is Gaud, from Bengal to all over Afghanistan, that is Ghazni or Ghazni. So Bengal to Afghanistan, he had a long big empire, and this also goes up to South India. Bengal to Afghanistan, Ghazni or Ghazni. Along with this, his empire, Ghiyasuddin Balban, goes up to Dravid or South India. So this we know by the Prashastis, and we will be talking about them in quite detail, like Cholas, Mughals, etc. And here one more thing happened. You know, when we talk about 700 to 1750, all things almost settled down, because the regions were quite clear, somewhat clear, and what is the bhasha, what is the language being spoken, what is the culture of that particular area people. So the characteristic, the geographical area, the talk, the culture, it was almost settled down. So there was a concrete, you can say, differences, you can say. So the Cholas, Khiljis, Tughlaqs, Mughals, they made big empire. Pan-regional, pan means all over India. They made a big empire. But the problem was they were not stable. Their empire, they made it, but what was not successful to keep them intact. So when this disintegrated, it disintegrated into different diverse small regions, right? Different small region. So these small region, emergence of regional states. For example, in India, we have 28 states. If you compare it with the empire of, say, Mughals, it may have certain parts which disintegrated, and these were the advent of regional states. Now, religion is very important. At this time, various religion or changes in the religion happened. Major development of religion in terms of tradition happened. Because in Hinduism, in Sanatan Dharma, what happened? There was previously only few deities, few gods and goddesses. Deities is a combined or collective word for all the god and goddesses, because Hindus have in crores Bhagwan and Mataye. So deities is a common word, combined word. So the way they were worshipped changed. The temples, new deities, new Bhagwan were being worshipped, and Brahmans, the priests, the people who belong to the higher caste, they were the dominant groups. They were the stronger group. They were the most respected group. Why? Because they knew Sanskrit. That is why Brahmins were respected in this society at this era. And big rulers also, they would, because it involves religion. And when religion involves, everyone gets emotional. So the rulers also, they were taking care of or protecting the Brahmins. So one more thing came, bhakti. Like if you take me, now I want to praise Lord Shiva. I don't need any Brahman or Purohit or Panditji between me. So what happened is this time that I can directly I can have a pratima of Lord Shiva, and I can do the worship, and with clear heart, I know that he is going to help me, he is going to comfort me, right? Now in this time, there was a new religion. Huzur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Huzur Muhammad Sahib, he introduced a new religion, and that religion is Islam. And it spread by merchants and migrants. We have 1.7 billion people who are Muslims all over the world. So after Christianity is 2.3 billion. So after Christianity, Muslim or Islam is the second largest dharm or religion. So why this became so popular? The religious kitab or book of Islam is Quran. Just like Christians have Bible, just like Hindus have Bhagavad Gita and Puran, same way Quran is for Muslims. Why people went to this religion? Because in this religion everyone is equal. There are 5 pillars. You have to be equal to one another. You have to love everyone. No burglary, no drink, no pork, no alcohol. And there are 5 pillars. 5 pillars. One is to help poor. This is one pillar. Second pillar is to do prayers 5 times a day. Then you have to go to the Hajj. This is the third pillar. So there are certain pillars. And Ramzan, you have to be fasting. So all these have no problem with anyone, no fight, no quarrel. So it was so clean and best religion at that time. People actually started wanting to be a Muslim. So at that time, when Muhammad Sahab, Huzur, when he died, he was the messenger of the God. When he died, his brother-in-law, Hazrat Ali. Now Shia faction says that Hazrat Ali is our leader. But Sunni people said, that faction of Islam or Muslim said, that whoever is layak, whoever has the capability, he can be a leader. It's not that only the person who is the relative of Hazrat Muhammad is going to be a leader. So these 5 pillars, as I said, they both worship Allah. They both have Islam, Holy Book, Quran, and they have 5 pillars, Shia Sunni. If you come to India, we have more factions. This happens everywhere, Hanafi and Shafi, all these different factions, different thoughts have developed. And that is the problem with every religion. Even Christians have Catholic, Protestant. So we are talking about the era. Whenever we talk about an era or a book, just see a book. We divide it into chapters because you cannot read a book like a novel. You have to have a different chapters. Similarly, if you want to learn history, we ought to have different parts, different eras. So Britishers came and they said, okay, we will divide this era into 3 parts: Hindu part, Muslim part, and British part. So very few division people actually wanted this, or they went with this kind of division, because actually the diversity of this subcontinent is not carried away, because these are quite interlinked. We don't have any clear distinction. So actual diversity of our subcontinent was ignored in this kind of division: Hindu, Muslim, and British. So few historians believe this. Few historians, right? Because things change. If you take God classification, things should be static for some time. It should not change. It has to be, these factions or these categories should be having a clear picture. So we are talking about 700 to 1750. Now we call this as a medieval age, Madhyakalin Yuga, medieval age, right? And here we have the different changes like spread of peasant societies, imperial state formation. We have Hinduism, Islam, this as a major religion, arrival of European trading companies. So medieval and modern have difference. Medieval means Madhyakal. Modern means at this time new discoveries, technical invention have taken place, modernization taken place. Medieval is not modern. Okay, they look same, but it's quite different. So there has to be a concrete difference between them. Modern means modernity. So one thing I just mentioned you, European trading companies. Why? Because at that time India was rich. Sone ki chidiya, we were Sone ki chidiya. So this attracted various foreigners like the European trading companies to come and trade here. Come and take those stuff which are popular here, like the black pepper, like the kapas, cotton, like the spices. So there are those many things which are to be offered. Okay. So this is all about this chapter. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.